Hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome to your messages for today and the week ahead. I am using the Moon deck. So if you would, it actually comes in a nice little box. I love it. I've already chosen 3 cards. Okay, so if you would, take a moment, see which one feels right for you. I'm going to move them right there. Okay. And let's get started. If you have chosen number 1, we have here, I meet resistance with kindness. And if you look in, this woman is sort of, well, I don't know what yoga pose that is, but I'm assuming it's like a yoga pose. But she's sort of bowed down, right? She's sitting down and kind of bowed herself down to the ground. And I feel like this is a card of acceptance, if you will. When you do meet a type of resistance, whether it's, relationship related, if you've gotten to an argument with someone, or really like a lot of stress or tension with a project or at work, there's always a form of resistance, right? There's a part of you that just doesn't want to do it, doesn't want to let go, doesn't want to move forward, whatever it is. So, but I feel like by sort of accepting everything that is, it allows things to actually flow rather evenly, if you will. And especially if you sort of accept things with a bit of kindness. I mean, I want to say it's easier said than done, right? Especially if maybe during a heated argument, the other party said something that really hurt, okay? To meet that type of resistance, especially with kindness, shows a lot of strength. It shows your character, okay? How deep, how even forgiving you can be. And that's really not a bad thing. That's actually a great quality. That is one of the better qualities that will help you move through life, okay? And so I feel like take some time today, this week, and see where you're meeting resistance in your life, okay? And I want you to make peace with that. Accept whatever that situation is for what it is, okay? And maybe, if it does, especially involves a particular person, try to sort of be objective, step out of the box, okay? And look at things from their perspective. That's what I do. I'm someone who can look at everyone's perspective. Not always at that moment, but usually within a few minutes afterwards, okay? So, and it's not really a bad thing because it helps you to see the broader picture and why someone says or does something, all right? And then it'll help to sort of, I don't want to say it'll help train you, but I mean, we're all learning, right? Even as adults, but it may teach you to react differently next time. And it's not a bad thing. So meet resistance with kindness. That's a great affirmation too, if you need to. Say it to yourself every day or whenever, an argument or something arises. Okay, moving on to number 2, we have here, conscious eating nourishes me. And this is true. Now, I want to, first, I get 2 things with this. First, the conscious eating nourishes me. So, eating foods that are right for your body, okay? You maybe are going through some health-related stuff. Well, maybe it's time, maybe that's a bit of a wake-up call for you, and it's time for you to really look at the foods that you are taking in. And maybe your body is trying to tell you, hey, like, I need a break from this. Can you please, like, moderate what you're taking into me so that I can start functioning better? Take a look at, and spring's a great time to do this anyway, take a look at the foods that you are bringing into yourself. Also, take a look at sort of the thoughts you are having, okay? Because that feeds you as well. Whether it feeds you well or feeds you poorly depends on the thoughts that you are creating, okay? So I feel like you need to take inventory of that as well, of your mentality, and see if you are actually nourishing yourself or not. And that's also partly where the conscious word plays into this. Being conscious of, being aware of what you are doing to yourself. Start thinking of your body as a temple. You would never really want to desecrate a temple, right? Like temples are just highly spiritual and peaceful. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone has this general sense of what a temple is. And they're not always just man-made structures. You can consider yourself a temple. So start treating yourself as you would an actual man-made temple, okay? And the conscious eating part is, so this is being mindful. I'm being reminded of someone I was talking to about this a few weeks ago, of like when if you're cooking yourself a meal, or if you're out at a restaurant or whatever, being mindful of that present moment that you're in, and like literally like taking a bite and focusing on the texture of it as you're eating it, the taste of it, the smell of it, just being mindful of how it feels for you ingesting it. And I had learned to do this actually a couple years ago. I went to Kripalu, and that's out near the Berkshires in Western Mass, and it was for a few 3-day retreat. But one of those days was or mornings really, it was really just the morning, was to practice mindful eating. I mean, you sit quietly, you don't talk, you literally just focus on that moment. And that moment could last 30 minutes. Could eat actually really fast and make it only 10, but then you're not really being conscious of what you're taking in. It's to bring you and keep you into the present moment. And when you're fully engaged in the present moment, there's no room for fear, worry, anxiety of, oh, you got to do this today, you got to do that later, this just happened. Like, there's just no room for that. So be conscious of what you're doing, especially as you're eating. Try that practice, if you will, just for one meal. Do one meal, or if you want to, be bold, do one meal every day for this next week, but just try one meal. And just be quiet and mindful of what you're doing in that moment. Okay? Awesome. All right. Last card, number 3. I love myself completely and unconditionally. Great card. Great affirmation to say to yourself literally every day. Also, difficult to do. This concept itself is difficult to do for a lot of people. Never mind loving yourself fully or completely, whatever, and unconditionally, but then to also love another fully and unconditionally. That's probably a real difficult one, right? And there's that saying that you can't really love another person until you love yourself. And there's a lot of merit to that. There is an insane amount of merit to that. It's kind of true though, because if you are really hurting inside and you're insecure, you got low self-worth, self-esteem, you're going to create attachments, unhealthy attachments to other people, thinking that they're going to fill those holes and make you feel right. No, I'm sorry. That isn't how it works. You really do have to be okay with yourself. You really have to be okay with yourself. And then that way you'll be able to accept others better. Others will be able to accept you better. This is a practice. Maybe say this to yourself every day upon waking up. I love myself completely and unconditionally. Even say it to yourself during the day, if you're driving in the car or whatever, or as you're laying in bed before you fall asleep. I love myself completely and unconditionally. And if you look at this is a woman sitting on a lotus blossom. Lotus blossoms grow actually in muddy waters. They do. They only in muddy waters. You won't see them in clean waters. It's sort of symbolic in a way, kind of the flower itself anyways, but in their environment that they grow in, that, muddy waters are best cleared by leaving it alone. If you move the water too much, you literally, you move all that dirt and mud around and it stays cloudy and gross. If you just let it be, it settles to the bottom, and the top at least can become much more clear. These grow, if you think of it, out of hard times. You can grow out of hard times. That's what growing pains are. And they're lessons to teach you how to become a better you, become the you that you are meant to be. All right, so think of yourself as a lotus blossom, and that this is just a learning experience. And what I'm also focused on is the moon that she's got her hands raised up to. The moon's very intuitive, feminine energy, but everyone's got feminine, masculine sides to them, right? So I feel like tap into your intuitive self. That will help you to grow and become a beautiful lotus blossom that you're supposed to be. All right, everyone, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed those messages, something a little sweet for this week ahead. Please share this with others so that it may help guide them. And I will see you all next time.